All right. Hi, everyone. We're here in San Diego with the famous Joe Bell. And Joe's going to show us his shop. Joe Bell.
Hi, everybody.
All right, Joe. Please give us a tour.
Okay, let's start here. This is our little compressor shed. This is where we get air. Paint shop is dead in the water without air. We've got two compressors, both of them 10 horses. This one is the regular one that we use. This is a spare. Something happens to this one that goes wrong, then we can fire up the spare. Because, again, without air, we can't work. We have to go to the beach. Let's move on. This is the Sandblaster cabinet. All steel, aluminum, any metal bikes have to get sandblasted. Finish on the bikes. The tandem has been made, the Sandblaster has been made long enough to fit a tandem in it.
Okay.
We don't paint very many tandems, but when we do, we like to have that extra room so that we can sandblast. These are all frames waiting to get painted. Those are here. These are all Richard Sachs frames.
Richard Sachs.
David Kirk, Rivendell, and then customers. So we have a lot of different bikes from different people. These are bikes that are waiting to get prepped also. These are just back from the chrome plater, and we will be masking those so that we can sandblast and prime them.
And these are custom bikes from customers? Is that right?
They are bikes from customers. These happen to be, Confente, Eddie Merckx, Carlton. So these are bikes that customers own, but not necessarily custom.
Okay.
Custom bikes are like the Kirks and the Sachs frames out there. Those were built with some exact person in mind.
Got it.
And so these are all waiting for attention. This is the oven. It's not much to look at, but it is. It works pretty good. It's effective. It only needs to get to about 150 degrees to cure polyurethane, which is what we use.
And that's a Kirk frame.
This is a Dave Kirk frame.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Looks like the Golf color from the Ford GT.
That's exactly what the customer wanted, was Golf colors. He even had us put a number on it.
68, that's
Yeah.
right. He probably has a GT in his garage.
He might. I believe this frame's going to Denmark.
Oh, wow.
So I don't think we'll see it after it leaves here.
Okay.
This is a little holding room for bikes that are in progress. We like to keep them out of the way so they don't get dusty and dirty out in the shop. So they stay in here when we're working on them. This is a stem that we're custom painting for another bike that has the whole bike looking like that. So that's kind of cool.
Is that carbon or
I believe this is a carbon stem, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the bike that it's going on is a Holland HC, which is a carbon frame.
Okay.
It's a beautiful custom-made frame. This is a Steve Rex frame we're working on.
Look at those
And
lugs.
that has a marbleizer paint job. We're still working on the lugs, so they look a little rough, but we'll get them looking good. This is beautiful in the sun.
Yeah.
All of these colors are much more vibrant in the sun. And so we're not finished with this one yet.
Work with art.
And this is a Bridgestone MB1 that
That's
is
a
in
mountain
progress.
bike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've noticed that Bridgestone owners are very dedicated and love their bikes, and so we do get some occasionally for repainting. And this is all sanded out and ready for final clear, so it's all smooth. The decals are smooth, and once we clear it, the gloss will come up beautiful, and it'll look great. And it's going home to Hawaii.
Oh.
Okay. This is a spray booth. Doesn't take much. It gives us enough room to move around. We hang frames from this carabiner here, and we turn on the fan. It pulls air in from there and goes out there. So there we go. So when we're spraying, we stand here and let the overspray and the fumes go to the filters, and the filters, they get almost all of the bad stuff out before it gets out into the air. So just try to be pretty clean about all this. Sorry the place is such a mess right now. These are a few of our custom paints and things like that. So we've got paint scattered all over the shop in different varieties and quantities. And so a lot of these paints are very, very old. DuPont Imron is something I use. And I've got cans that are 40 years old, still viable. These are pearls.
Yeah.
Any painter can look at that and say, wow, there's a lot of good stuff there. A lot of these pearls are from the 60s and 70s. They have lead in them, so they've been outlawed, but these are the most beautiful pearls. They're very vibrant and very fine, so it's quite striking when it's painted on a bike. So.
And that's pretty much the new hottest thing in painting right now with the
No, pearls are very old.
Okay.
Car guys have been using them for decades. We use them on bikes because it looks nice on bikes too, to give that nice little opalescent sheen. Sometimes we use flakes and things like that. If you want it to look real sparkly, you can do that. We don't get a lot of call for that. It's pretty blingy, but I'm a monkey. I tend to like blingy stuff. I like my bikes to be really pimpy.
I'd like to see your bikes one of these days. Oh my god!
I only have a few bikes.
And cure it, and then it's like this solid cast
My assistant
part.
Peter.
Hello.
Eh.
Yeah, so it's just like
My other assistant Evan. He's masking off a Mozzie Grand Criterium twin plate crown. This is for his particular bike, and we're not sure what color we're going to paint it, but at some point we are going to paint it. White and yellow. He says he wants this. Okay.
Confetti.
This one's not here for a repaint, although it does need one. We can paint anything, and we do have another Confetti in here for a refinish. Most people like to have their Confettes with original paint, even if it's all chewed up, they don't mind. Okay. Here's a Richard Sachs frame. Richard is one of my oldest clients. We're brothers joined at the hip now. I've been painting Richard's bikes for about 33 years, which is probably some sort of a record by now. He sends his bikes all the way out from Connecticut to get painted.
Wow.
And he is a patient man because I do take a long time to get these things through. We like to make sure they look good. This is a Holland HC that we're working on, and it's going to have a candy red sprayed over carbon. So it's going to look really striking out in the sun. And these are all custom. Every Holland HC is built for the client, and everybody that has one loves their bikes. So you see a few imperfections, but that's just part of the nature of the process.
The handmade process.
Yes, and once these imperfections are sanded out, everything's going to look beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. These are just patients that are waiting for attention. We have quite a few.
Sonali, Yankee,
A lot of stuff. This is a Rene Ayres, very rare bike, probably more sought after than Confetti bikes.
Oh wow.
Rene Ayres was a French constructor from the 50s and 60s and 70s. He's passed away now, and the company is no longer in business, except for maybe a few get done by Jan Hein in Seattle now, but they're a more modern bike. built in the old style. But this is an original. It's a 1961.
Wow.
And this is for a collector up in Los Angeles.
And this is a city bike, right? No derailleur, too much? Or?
It has a special kind of cyclo derailleur from the old school that has cables and stuff like that. And you can look those up, but it has its own wiring and racks. I've got racks in there. It has fenders. It has all this stuff. And once it's all put together, it's going to be quite a bike. But it's a cyclo-touring bike built for a lady. So these are very highly sought after bikes. Most of them are in collections now, and you rarely ever see them come up for sale on eBay or anything. This is a Rivendell that we're working on. This is a big one.
Yeah.
And
65, right? Or 67?
This guy wanted the Legnano green yellow. What did you say?
It's about 65, 67,
Something like that.
That's
somebody tall. Although Rivendells are usually built a little on the tall side for the riders, they're built for comfort and not necessarily speed. But we've been painting Rivendells for about 20 years now.
Yeah.
And we like the company. They're great people. Grant is a wonderful guy, and so we're happy and proud to be painting Rivendells.
Yeah.
And this is another Holland HC that we're working on, and this has the red tint on it, although it may be hard to see because it's been sanded. Once the gloss is on there, it will show up very, very well in the sun. Another Richard Sachs. We're sanding the decals so that we can get them all smooth, so that in the final clear, everything is smooth and shiny. So this is just part of the process. They look a little rough when they're in process, but once they're finished, they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
And this one is destined for Thailand, I think.
Wow.
So these bikes go all over the world. So it's kind of nice. It's cool. I look at them and enjoy them and paint them, and once they're out the door, I forget about them. I'm moving on to the next one. The most important bike in the world is the one I'm working on right now.
Right.
Because I've already forgotten about the one that's already out the door.
So I have two questions for you.
Yes, sir.
One is, you started with bikes at a very young age, right?
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I used to spray them in the garage with a spray can. Next to the water heater. Didn't know that I could explode the garage, but it never happened. But I've been doing it since I was a teenager.
Yeah, and the notion of bikes being sort of a utilitarian object, tool, machine for transportation, pretty much, right? I mean, it gets you from point A to point B. How did it transition over to just that utilitarian purpose to something like a Rivendell, like a Hearst, which is very sought after and things like that? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
In most parts of the world, bikes are still a utilitarian tool, and they don't go for the artistic aspect. But as time has gone on, more and more people that don't need the bicycle for utilitarian aspects, for sport or for enjoyment, want to have a beautiful bike, something that looks a little different than their friends. People appreciate fine art, and so many people have developed the bicycle as their fine art palette. I'll show you a Brian Bayless over there with gold lugs that is basically art, and it rides beautifully, but it doesn't ride any differently than a good quality Italian frame.
Okay.
So we can look at that in a moment. This is my messy office, and there are a few bikes in here. And speaking of Italian frames, this is a Choch, or Choch, and it's a restoration. Came in all rusty and nasty.
Wow,
and
look at that.
the client had us put new chrome on it, chrome the lugs, and put candy apple red on it. And again, this red looks nice in here, but it's
gonna
totally
pop.
beautiful outside.
Would have loved to see the before and after picture. This is the after, of course.
Yeah, I don't take any pictures of the work. I leave that to other people.
Okay.
I just don't have time to photograph the stuff, and I just let it go out there. So I don't have much of a portfolio, and I don't have any Instagram or Facebook. I just let the stuff roll out there.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy just doing them, getting paid, and then moving on to the next. There's
Okay.
so many bikes, and they just never dried up.
Right. Never ends.
When I first started, I figured, okay, I'll paint this bike, and if they stop coming in, I'll get a real job. And they just never stopped
They
coming
never
in,
stop.
so I never had to get a real job.
Okay.
And these are some of the bikes that are hanging around. This is a cool old bike. This is mine. It's got lugs
That's
by
yours.
Brian
That's the-
Bayless. Yes, it's a
So,
Holland.
out of any bike you can have, you chose a Holland.
Well, Holland and I go way back. So, he was the first guy I ever worked for. And so he built me this bike back in '87. And Brian made the lugs. Bill brazed it up and I painted it. So it was a collaborative effort. You might see that up there. It says heavy influence by R. Brian Bayless. And so it's a nice bike, but I ride a titanium bike now, and so this mostly just gets relegated to vintage rides and collects dust here.
Here's a hearse, right? Renee?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
This is our Renee Earth.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on. I'll call you later. He's a VIP. I hate to do this, but here we go.
Okay.
And this is the Bayless I was telling you about. And it's quite a rare bike.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
And the bike is
Look at that.
It has 24 karat gold lugs and crown and seat
wow.
tube.
Really?
And Brian painted this back in the 80s for a magazine shoot. And the customer asked me to match a pump. And so I'm in the process of right now of matching a pump. So Samantha, if you could hold this bike, I'll go get the pump and show you what that looks like.
Okay. Wow, is it?
Beautiful. So this is where it moves away from just being utilitarian to being art.
Okay, so we're not finished with it yet, but when it's all done, the pump will match the seat tube.
Yeah.
It doesn't match the seat tube right now because we've sanded the clear and it's dull. But when the clear coat is on, it looks very, very close. Not exact, but anyway, that's what the customer is after. So
That's an awesome example of moving away from just the utility to art.
right, well, Brian did that. He
Unbelievable.
created art bikes, and that was his style, and he's passed on now, so he's more celebrated than ever because of that. And
good work.
he didn't make a ton of bikes, but every one of them was stunning. I'll put this away.
Yeah.
So that's really about all we do here. So it's not much of a shop to look at. But we've been here in this location for 35 years, and we like it. We're tucked away. Nobody knows where we are, and so it's. I look forward to coming to work every day
Yeah,
here.
that's awesome.
It's a great place to work. So this is it. And, I appreciate the payoff.
Of course.
The video. So I don't know if there's much more I can show you, but
No, thank you so very much.
It's old school here, and
Thank
do you have
you.
any more questions?
That's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Was that
We
okay?
say all the old school, to be honest.
Yeah, we love old
We
school.
are.
Love old school.
We love old school.
Okay, so you can edit that any way you want, so that I don't look bad.
You won't look bad. Thank you so much.
Thank you.